West Virginia falls again, this time to Oklahoma State. The Big 12 just gets more and more interesting. 67-60 final. Oklahoma State moves to 9-5 on the year. We see West Virginia now move to 10-4 on the year, Steve. I know you're still rocking that hat proudly there. However, there's a lot of things to be concerned about this team after seeing a couple losses in a row from the Mountaineers. What's your thoughts on this game? I know there's a couple side stories or backstories, if you will, that we really got to dig into as well. But what's your thoughts on the Mountaineers losing by 7 to the Pokes?
Yeah. This is definitely a pain in the groin game for the Mountaineers, and we'll
I see what
elaborate
you
on
did
that.
there.
Oh, you like that, like that. But it really boils down to is that the preseason concern that everybody had about West Virginia, and really most publications had West Virginia down, if not at the bottom, but near the bottom of the Big 12. And Bob Huggins has been saying all along, I love this team. He brought in a bunch of JUCO transfers. Yes, he did have some players come in through the Division One transfer portal. They also lost a bunch of players. But bottom line is, okay, they had more rebounds. That's good. That's a WVU standmark. They had more steals than Oklahoma State. They had more assists than Oklahoma State. Problem is, they made fewer shots, absolutely made fewer free throws, and were almost non-existent from beyond the arc. So that's how they lost by 7 to the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I mean, it's something that I don't know what Huggins is going to do. He's pretty good at mixing and matching players, against whoever they're playing. But ultimately, his game is defense. You have to play tough, hard defense. You need to stick to that game plan, but you need to meet the standards. I mean, Huggins is a Hall of Famer for a reason. So let's flash back. Well, maybe we shouldn't say flashback in the case of Eric Stevenson, but we he draws a technical foul with about 5 minutes left. And this is after he hit a series of big 3-point shots
Right.
to really
Yeah, he
get
was money. He was on.
right. So to really help get them sort of get them back a little bit. So Marcus Smart is there. The Celtics are in town to play the Oklahoma City. I think they're playing tomorrow night. So he's there to watch the game. He's actually right behind, Huggins. He was sitting there watching the game, and they, for whatever reason, Stevenson was kind of giving Smart the business, and Smart was kind of giving it back. So after he hit that last three, like a dope, thinking he was celebrating, he did the old, Michael Jackson Thriller beat it crotch grab.
Mhm.
Referees saw it. I mean, it wasn't like he was making an adjustment. It was obvious that it was like a taunting kind of thing. He got the technical. He ended up fouling out, and they could have used him down the stretch because
For
we'll
sure.
talk about Oklahoma State here in a little bit. But I mean, you just can't do that. He is the only real consistent scorer. He's not going to necessarily be the high scorer every day, but he's going to get his points every game. But Bob Huggins doesn't care. Okay, if he had Michael Jordan on his team and Michael Jordan did something like that, he would come out and say the same thing he did with Stevenson, where he said, if he ever does something stupid like that again, he'll no longer be a Mountaineer. And it would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form that Huggins would be true to that if Stevenson does something else like that. And he's had a couple of moments like that throughout his career where he's kind of gotten showboaty or whatever. So, and if there's no Stevenson, there's no hope for a tournament for WVU. As well as they've played early, and they've surprised a lot of people. Without Stevenson, WVU's lucky if they get an NIT bid.
Yeah, him fouling out is an understatement of saying that they could have used him. He would led the team in scoring. He was 7 for 12 from the field. He had 4 rebounds. He only had 2 assists, but I mean the 17 points was crucial. And that is something, like you said, not only will it be hopes for the tournament, makes you wonder what's going to happen next. Now he only had 25 minutes in this game. He did have foul trouble. We know that. That's why he fouled out. Makes you wonder what his minutes are going to look like in the game coming up against Kansas. Obviously a big game, but maybe Huggins. We know Huggins doesn't mess around. We know
No,
that. We've seen that for years, and he might make a statement against a really true team like Kansas with his star player Stevenson. It'd be very unfortunate for the Mountaineers, but I know that he's not afraid to do something like that, Steve.
No, and for WVU supporters, they will back him up. I mean, Huggins, I mean, he's a West Virginia native, that's where he went to school. I mean, they love him there. And that's very much plays to the blue collar, hardworking fan base. I mean, it was Huggins at Cincinnati, the same thing. He's at WVU. You hate to see it come down to that because again, WVU is playing way above what expectations were. Now, I personally had them in my mind. I had them as a dark horse when we were doing our preseason predictions. We dropped them off because we really thought that there were just so many good teams in the Big 12. It wasn't really fair for me to play a hunch on that. But again, Huggins said he is more proud and more behind this particular roster than any team that he's had in the last 10 years. And he's had some really good tournament teams, during that time. But okay, let's talk about Oklahoma State for a little bit because they played, they played a really good game. They outscored WVU in the paint, which rarely happens against the Huggins team by 34-14. And then right around, the Stevenson woohoo moment,
Nice.
Thanks. I'm on a roll here tonight. They went on a 13-3 run right after that. They just did everything they needed to do. And the last 5 minutes or so, it was really the bench players that had to come in because Musa Sisse left with an ankle injury. He was in and out during the game too a little bit, but he was pretty much not there in the second half. Avery Anderson fouled out down the stretch. Probably their best shooter, but they hit their big shots. They shot around 50% from the floor. I think they tailed up a little bit because they were trying to get back in it. But at one point, they were above 50% almost the entire game. So Oklahoma State, they've had some nice games, even in games they haven't won. I thought they've really hung in there and they've just battled right down to the final buzzer. So once again, we talk about the Big 12. Is it the best conference in the country? You go back and forth because you got the Big Ten. Right? We all love the Big Ten and how they play, but there are so many teams coming out of the Big 12 there. Oklahoma State's going to almost get lost in the shuffle, but they're playing great basketball, and I'm curious to see how they build on some really good early performances and where that positions them come Big 12 tournament time.
Yeah, I think the seeding is going to be very crucial come Big 12 tournament time because all of these teams are playing very well. I mean, you could even make the argument for a team like, like you said, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, who are yet to get the 10-win mark. But other than that, I mean, that's really the only downside, if you will. Everybody else is playing really, really good basketball, and you can make the argument for them as well. Seeding is going to be very important. Every single conference game is going to mean a lot. As for West Virginia, they are now 0-2 in the Big 12, so not a great start for the Mountaineers. Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below about this West Virginia squad. How do you feel about them? What do you feel about the Bob Huggins remarks as well? And then obviously the Pokes, they got that win here. They're now 1-1 in the Big 12. Where do you see them at the end of the season when we get to the Big 12 tournament? Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for watching SlasherU.